Hey everyone, welcome to Danny Chats. This is episode number 18 and I'm joined by Nick. Nick had a liver transplant and he was also competing in the Transplant Games in England. So we're going to talk a bit about that. Hi Nick, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good, good. Thank you for joining me.
Yep, it's okay, yeah.
So
I'm into this stuff.
that's okay. So do you want to tell me what led to you needing a liver transplant?
It started, well, I had my liver transplant in the end of May 2016, and it was, they don't know absolutely what caused it, but due to the circumstances of my daughter's death 3.5 years prior, I tried a number of counselling and what I call pharmaceutical antidepressants. And the last lot I had, I threw in the bin after seeing cancer in one of the side effects. My mother had actually died of cancer 1.5 years before my daughter had died. And I binned it. And I thought, you know what, I wasn't coping very well. I was coping very badly, in fact, with it, that I thought I'd tried a herbal route. So I tried St. John's wort, which my liver doctors think I just suffered a catastrophic allergic reaction. My wife would say that she thinks it was killing my liver almost immediately.
Wow.
Within 2 weeks of starting it, I was walking into Milton Keynes A&E, very jaundiced, extremely tired, to the point that I would walk and I couldn't pick my feet off the ground.
Yeah.
And so I actually didn't go into the A&E to start with. I went into the 24-hour drop-in centre, which is attached to it, and they described it as possibly as say chronic liver failure or something like that. It was a chronic something or other. And like you do, in between there and the walk across to A&E where they sent me for bloods, I googled it and frightened the crap out of myself.
Yeah, I can imagine googling anything is scary.
Yeah, it turned out what I actually had was even worse. It was even faster. So that was me in Milton Keynes for the next two and a bit weeks.
Yeah, and so that was all from a herbal.
They think, yeah. All the biopsies showed drug-induced liver damage. They put it down as herbal because that was the only thing that I was taking at the time.
Yeah.
And I'd say between walking in there, that was the 29th of April, I walked into Milton Keynes, and it was the 29th of May when I had my transplant. Went on the super urgent list at number 1 on the Friday and was in theatre by 5:30 on the Sunday.
Wow.
All happened very quick.
Yeah, so not much time to sort of prepare and think about it, or...
No. Myself and my wife Anna, we joke about it now. My absolute denial that I was not going to recover, that my liver would recover. Absolute, 100%. Everyone else around me knew exactly what was going on and exactly what was going to happen. But I was in complete denial until Dr. Marshall walked in at about 6:30 on the Friday evening to tell me that I was being listed.
Yeah.
Then I actually accepted what was happening. And yeah. Then you go through all the chats with the surgeon, which is terrifying.
Yeah. They're very matter of fact, aren't they? So they tell you, you know, what could go wrong, and they're honest about it.
Coming out of that thinking I've got a 1 in 10 chance of coming out of it the other end.
Yeah.
Then luckily the transplant coordinators and the anaesthetists come round and see you afterwards, and they sort of tell you the actual reality. Not the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And 1 in 10 becomes 8 in 10, and I sort of think, well, even 1 in 10 was better than my chances.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, and I don't really remember too much of the weekend, to be honest. My wife would tell me that she thinks that my mind was just starting to go.
Yeah, because of the liver failure.
Yeah.
I mean, the liver is such a vital organ that, I mean, with my disease, it was a build-up of copper in the blood that caused the liver failure. But the build-up of copper would also attack the brain. So, I think anything related to the liver, once the liver starts failing,
Yeah.
it relates to other organs in your body that start shutting down then.
Well, they say I was very lucky because all my other organs were still functioning as at their normal level.
Yeah.
So I was obviously very fit. Through the mental illness that I had, I'd taken to, rather than getting angry and lashing out, I took to going on 9-12 mile marches and just come back absolutely knackered and stiff and aching. And I think in a way that helped get my fitness level up for what was about to happen that came out of the blue.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is very important to try and be as fit as you can before the operation. It helps with recovery for sure.
Oh, crikey, yeah. Even in recovery, getting up and getting out of bed and just starting to walk is just so important.
Yeah, definitely.
I was watched a couple of patients that had transplants at the same time that weren't getting out and walking, and one almost appeared to be going downhill.
Yeah.
And the other one, once he was, we convinced him to get up and start walking, he was actually discharged from hospital before I was.
Yeah.
He was just like up walking, within a week, gone home.
Yeah.
So
yeah, being active is very important. I mean, I remember it wasn't long after my operation that they had me standing up, not walking or anything, but they had me stood next to the bed. Just
is that in ICU?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was it was either Monday evening or Tuesday morning. I can't really remember, but it was certainly within 24 hours of being woken up.
Yeah. What kind of cut did they do? Incision?
I got the Lexus.
Yeah, same. I mean, because I didn't know that they did a Lexus. So I'd only been shown pictures of the Mercedes.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit sort of not shocked, but surprised when I woke up to see that.
Yeah, I'd heard there's a hot cross bun as well, but I think that's the ones.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And it just seems to be surgeon's preference.
Yeah, I just describe it as start at the sternum, straight down to the belly button and hang a right. Keep going.
Same. Yeah. So you were obviously sort of active before, and then we've been talking a little bit about you went to the Transplant Games in the UK.
Yeah, I found out about it. It was in some of the leaflets that you get handed out at the Royal Free. The guy that was captain at the time and had leaflets that printed out. So along with all the transplant, post-transplant leaflets that you got about what you can and cannot do, what you can or cannot take, and all sorts of other advice and what have you, was this thing about the Transplant Games. So I thought about it, and before my daughter died, she'd started at a local athletics club, the Farnborough and Aldershot club, and she'd just been discovered as having a bit of a talent for throwing discus and shot put.
Yeah.
Well, she broke the school record at her senior school in her first year. In year 7, she broke every record above her.
Broke the year 11s. That's incredible.
Yeah. And so I thought that, what better way to give myself a little bit of my purpose back in life. I lost so much when she went, and it was just a way of sorry.
That's okay.
It became a way of honouring both my daughter and my donor. So one of the things that happened when I was post-op back up in the ward is I remember my surgeon coming in, talking about my liver as being probably about as perfect as you could have ever had and how lucky I was. And he mentioned the number 17. So it immediately, that stuck in my mind ever since, that my donor was 17 years old.
Yeah.
My daughter was 12 and a half years old when she died. And that really got to me. I found that really quite emotional and upsetting. And it brought a whole world of emotions out post-op that made me a bit of a difficult case to handle mentally wise.
Yeah, I mean, I can totally relate to the feelings, because I was told my donor was 22, and it's such a young age.
Mm.
And you do have not regret, but you feel that thought for the donor's family is there, isn't it?
Mm.
And the realization that someone so young, has gone, is very sad.
Well, when my daughter died, we went through the process of being asked if we would donate her organs. To us, it was a no-brainer. We signed the forms and ticked all the boxes of, if it was me, I would have just given everything.
Yeah.
But her mother had her own feelings, and so
Yeah.
But certainly all the major organs were offered, but unfortunately, because of she died of, they put it down as viral encephalitis, but they didn't know absolutely at the time. So it turned out her organs would only have been used in an absolute emergency, if that hers was the only organ on offer that would have actually saved the person's life. So, I mean, they were offered out. So I understand the other side of the story. I wrote to my donors actually soon after, but I was very conscious I took the approach that yes, he probably was 17, or at the very least, the piece of paper said he was under 30. So I knew he was somebody's kid, at the very least. And I remembered what my first Christmas was like without her, and I didn't want the letter to land on their not on their doormat, but I didn't want them to get a phone call from their coordinators right up before Christmas, because I knew how hard that time was.
Yeah.
And continued to write regularly, updating them with what I was getting up to, and I asked questions and so on. And eventually I heard back from them, and I have met my donor's parents.
Oh, wow.
And he was 17.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've struggled. I've sat down a few times to try and write my letter, and I just find it very, very hard, emotionally, and just to know what to write.
I said that when I actually met them for the first time, actually at the Newport Games in 2019. They came and watched me swim, and I asked them that, and the father turned around and just said, "Thank you." That's all. I, from his own personal point of view, that was all he would like to hear. And so, but from our point of view, yes, it is. It's very hard to find. It's impossible to find the words to express how we feel that the decisions that they made. But that was just his response, and it's a response I do share when people raise the subject. Is it's just a simple thank you. Yeah. It was all he would have liked, and that's what I obviously gave him a lot more than that. But I mean, I think if you want to write, just write. The letters themselves mean so much to them. Yeah,
I can imagine. Yeah. So then you talked about you've had these leaflets and stuff for the Transplant Games. When was it you decided that you were going to go for it?
Pretty early on, actually. It was within weeks.
Oh, wow.
And I started trying to find a local athletics club where I could go and start throwing discus.
Yeah.
Obviously not the best idea with a 42-inch staple wound in your abdomen to start throwing heavy objects.
Yeah.
But I was open and honest with the local club that I joined, and they were, the guy that coached me was very careful about what he allowed me to do.
Yeah.
He took it very gently. I did do some throws. I think I started there 3.5 months post. I think somewhere between 3 and 4 months post.
That's still very soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was already back working. I was back on my motorcycle. I was back driving. That was my stock question when I went to the doctors, was when can I start riding my bike?
Did you not find it painful? I mean, my side, the sternum sort of cut was not so bad, but the incision to the side.
It's the bit right on the side. I didn't do anything heavy twisting or anything that involved any abdominal rotation.
Yeah.
If he allowed me to have 2 or 3 throws with a discus, and that was strictly standing still and just using the arm just to see how it went and what have you. And then that was it. That stopped. I didn't throw anything until the following season. So by the time I actually started to throw in earnest, would have been March the following year.
Yeah.
But even then, I do know that, and even now, I'm probably about 4 3/4 posts. If I exert myself a lot through the abdomen with a lot of twisting or core stuff, it'll tell me about it, and it's always that same bit round the side. This bit, never had an issue with it. It's just the bit round the side. And do you know what? Sometimes even, well, quite often actually, I can be sitting in the chair, and if I lay back and sort of slump over, it starts to ache.
Yeah, same, exactly the same.
So I'm just guessing it's just scar tissue or lesions or whatever that's just irritating. So
yeah, because I'm 18 months post, a little bit more now, I think, but I'm still at that stage where where you worry about stuff. So if I am sat there for too long and it does start to ache, in the back of my head I think, oh god, what's wrong? Like, but then you move and you're like, oh, actually it's right.
I just sit forward on the edge of the sofa and upright, and it just goes.
Yeah.
Then it's fine. Then I just, and it's always in the same area. I've spoken to the doctors about it, and they've checked me for hernia or anything like that, and they've found nothing.
No. Well, I mean, they did describe to me that some of the muscles may, where they get cut, they might join together sort of slightly tighter than what they were before, or some of the muscles might join slightly differently to what they were. So, you just got that extra tension and stuff in there.
Yeah. Well, I've done light core. I just basically listen to my body. Don't go straight in on a heavy weight. Up until leading up to lockdown, I was actually able to get up to 110 kilos deadlift. Yeah. And then lockdown happened, and I got really annoyed.
It's been hard.
Yeah, it is. And I'll be open up front. I shielded for 6 days, and then my wife said to me, right, come on, we're going for a walk.
Yeah.
I was getting a bit tired of me stressing out, pacing up and down the floorboards. But we're lucky. We live in a relatively rural town, and we're right on the edge of it. So I think it's about a couple of 100 meters, and we're in the woods that way, and another couple of 100 meters that way in this field.
Yeah.
We don't live in a very densely populated area, so it's quite easy to get out and walk.
And you definitely have to make that balance between just staying mentally sane, keeping active, and keeping safe.
Do you know, I think even if I lived in a really densely populated area, I would still have got out and walked. I just would have looked at the times of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Gone out at night time when there's less people.
And just get out when it's, because it was, mentally it just wasn't good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, when it first happened, I wasn't doing shopping or anything, but now I'm still going shopping, just trying to keep some routine. But when I do go shopping, I make sure I take my hand sanitizers and, clean the trolley, clean the basket, got my masks. But yeah, I'm still trying to keep some routine. And
yeah, I think there's a lot of fear of the unknown early on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it played with me, it played with my wife, it played with my family. And they all worried about it. I've got a sister who's a nurse, so I've got the medical side coming in one ear. But yeah, it's balancing. I understand as well that that some people will shield 100%, and if that's and you do what's right for yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Everyone's different. We all live in different locations, and even we can all look at our own sort of medical history and see that, I mean, I don't appear to get ill. So I just looked at that and I thought, worst I ever get is a cold once a year.
Yeah.
If I regularly got nasty infections or I was really susceptible to things, then I would have taken a completely different attitude towards it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think everyone just almost needs to ignore what other people are doing and what other people are saying, because that's from their own personal point of view, and just look at yourself and manage yourself and say, do you know what? Staying indoors is not doing me mentally any good.
Yeah.
And go for a walk. Get up early and go for a walk. At least it takes that away, that sense of imprisonment, you know, where you're locked in, and that can be hard.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Just doing what you feel comfortable with, not what everyone else is doing. That is great advice.
Well, I had a chat with my coordinators as well, and that's another thing to do, is just to speak to people like your coordinators and just say, this is how I'm feeling. Is it okay if I go and do this? You know, just going for a walk around your block of your houses or something. Yeah. Just that sense of being able to get out beyond your front door, I found really quite a positive thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, so when was the last time you competed? How many times have you competed in the Transplant Games?
I competed in 2017 in Glasgow.
Yep.
2018 in Birmingham, which was also the qualification games for the Worlds in Newcastle. Then competed in Newport 2019. Those were the 3 British games that I've done so far, because Coventry last year was cancelled.
Yeah.
And then in 2019, I qualified in 18 through the discus for Team GB, and then obviously went to Newcastle to compete for Great Britain and Northern Ireland in the World Games.
That's superb, brilliant.
And it's great. I mean, the British, just going to the British Games, even if you don't compete, just to go there and just see hundreds of transplantees of all the types.
Yeah.
Bone marrow, single organ, multi-organ, ages from 3 to 80, all competing. We're not all great at what we do, but we're all having a go.
Yeah.
I spoke to one heart recipient who said before his heart transplant, he couldn't even turn over in bed without breaking into a sweat. Yeah. Now I'm thrashing down a 50-metre pool having a race with him.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? It's mad.
It is. It's and I think what brought up my comment was, you know, we were talking about how when you're in hospital, and it's something that I noticed, and it got me quite worried initially about what was my future going to be like, is you only ever see in hospital people with problems.
Yeah.
Because the ones that are 30 years down the road, and I'm now hearing or meeting more and more liver recipients that are 30 years post.
Yeah.
You never see that in hospital. I was actually when I went back in through A&E shortly afterwards, after I had a metal stent put in, I had a chronic pain and infection. They said I had an infection, but I wasn't showing for it. I was sat in the A&E waiting area with another liver transplantee. She was on her second liver. She must have had, I mean, it was her own personal point of view that she just turned around and told me, you know, it's not forever.
Yeah.
And I thought, Christ, I'm not even a month post or 2 months post, and I'm getting told this. But that was probably for her own perspective, that she might have a disease or condition where it will eventually attack the new liver and you need another one. So I found that the game's really positive from that fact, to meet all of these people that are living normal lives. There's people competing and doing stuff in times and distances that are right up there with non-transplanted people.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just really inspiring just to go along. You can go along, you can compete, you can volunteer to help with the running of it, just helping people go, or just go up and spectate, because it's free to get in.
Yeah.
I always recommend people go to the track and field day, mainly because there's obviously a lot more space and you'll see all the age groups.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm definitely interested in going along. It sounds amazing, whether I'll be competing or whether I'll help run something or organise something, but yeah, it'd be good.
No, not your last podcast interview, the young lady before that.
Yeah.
And I've spoken to her about it, and she's going to look to possibly compete or volunteer. It's up in Leeds, hopefully this year. But even if you don't, it's just come up on a Sunday and walk around, have a look. I took the opportunity to go and talk to the donor family network that are there. I mean, they're a big part of it, in the running of it, the organising of it, and the reason why we're there.
So what are they? What's the donor?
It's the donor family network. So it's an organisation for basically the families of those who've either living donors or deceased donors.
Yeah.
The families of those.
Okay. And they obviously come along and get involved with it all then?
I have to check, but I'm pretty sure they're pretty much involved in the organising of it.
Yeah, that's cool.
They're very central to it, and they're certainly, so far as all the athletes go, they are front and centre for us.
Yeah, that's really good. So I interviewed someone from Colombia. She does the triathlon, and I've literally just put that interview up today. But she was saying that the GB team is very, very good. She said that it is a very high standard.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're one of the teams where there are qualification standards, but if you qualify in one event, you're encouraged to then do others.
Yeah.
So I qualified for the discus. So I also put forward for the shot put and the 2 swimming events. As it turns out, I got 2 bronze medals for the swimming events.
Oh wow, brilliant! What stroke?
Breaststroke.
Yeah. I used to do swimming at school. Backstroke was my favourite.
Yeah. We've got a very strong swimming team.
Yeah.
Very good swimming team, and I'm by no means up on the level of a lot of the people in the team, but they're very welcoming, very inclusive, and it's also another way of keeping yourself fit. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. And like you say, that's important, very important, mentally and physically.
Oh, yeah. Just, it gets you out, you get exercising, physical exercise is great. One of the things the psychiatrist who came and saw me in the hospital, he sort of said to me that, because I talked about, I don't like going on these drugs, I just prefer to talk and exercise. And he said, you know what, if I could prescribe that, he would.
Yeah.
Because it's so good.
Yeah.
It's not coverall for everything, but it's certainly a very good place to start.
Yeah. I mean, I signed up to counselling after my operation. I was in the process of signing up before, and then I don't know why, but it just never happened. And then it got to a point afterwards where I was just like, I need to talk to somebody. Just to literally just talk, like just to get everything out. There was no advice that I needed or anything. It was just, just talking about all those emotions.
Yeah. I mean, certainly I think the most valuable thing I had after Nicola died was none of the sort of specific treatment counselling, but it was the bereavement, child bereavement, or bereavement, cruise, that was it. There was a lady came round from cruise once a week for 45 minutes, and I basically just blurted everything out.
Yeah.
And it was just like, to me, it was like the pressure would build up and it was just taking the lid off and just letting it all out. Most exhausting 45 minutes, but it was worth it. But it was something that couldn't go on. But like you say, it's just having somebody that would just sit there, listen for most of the time, but just allow you to just let it all come out.
Yeah. Yeah, I did notice that. He was very good at staying quiet. He'd force it out of me. We'd just be in this awkward silence until I started talking.
Yeah.
That's good.
But it's a hell of a thing to get around, the fact that you 1 minute you're dying and now you're alive, and you're alive not necessarily directly because somebody died and saved your life, but because a family made a decision.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it the other day, that it's almost like it is a terminal illness we got, but we're not waiting for a new drug or a new treatment. We're basically waiting for somebody to die.
Yeah.
And it's a hell of a thing. It's a very hard thing to get into your head.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in life, that's life, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's life and death. It's just a constant cycle. So, um, you know, someone sort of said that that person was gonna go anyway, whether we needed that organ or not. So,
yeah.
you know,
That's an easy thing to say for somebody on the outside, but when you're the person that's benefited from it and had their life saved by it, it's not quite so black and white.
yeah, yeah,
It comes with an awful lot of emotional baggage afterwards.
yeah,
Try and get your head around. But certainly for me, writing the letters with no expectation of getting anything back did help.
yeah. And
Um,
it's amazing that you met them. They come to see you at the Newport Games. It's just incredible. I mean, that must have been like tears moment.
it's it's weird. I don't cry. I should, but I don't.
I'm
I,
very much similar.
I think the last time I cried properly was in the PICU unit of the Evelina in London, just after Nicola was declared dead.
Mm.
And since then, it's been shut down. Shouldn't be, but no, it's weird because actually the young man died of the same thing that my daughter died of.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's and my transplant. I went. Her birthday would have been the 26th. I went on the list on the 27th of May. He died on the 28th, and 29th of May I went down for theatres. So it was already a weekend for me, that May bank holiday weekend that normally fell right on what would
Yeah,
have been her birthday. It's turned out to be a real up and down weekend.
yeah,
It's it's an extreme. I find, and I did speak to one of the guys that I compete against at the games. I compete against him in the shot put and the discus. He wins the shot, I win the discus. It's just the way it seems to be going at the
yeah,
moment. But I said to him, I said, I feel really guilty when I come up here that um, I can't always be jumping up and down and all joyous and everything, because I then remember how I got, I remember my daughter, and the two are linked, because
yeah,
without her dying, I wouldn't have taken what I took, and I wouldn't be where I am now.
yeah,
And it's I find it quite extreme that I can be really quite down and depressed and sad. I mean, really down one day thinking about it. Then the next day I might be out training and I'm thinking about the games and I'm sort of all up. And then the next day, bosh, down again.
mm,
And it was good. It was good because he knew my story and he was really understanding of it. Really nice guy.
yeah. Do you find?
Sorry,
Sorry, no, you go ahead. So,
I've forgotten what I was going to say now.
do you find having the games has helped you sort of focus with recovery and
Yeah,
giving you something to look forward to as such, if you can say that?
yeah, it does. It gives you something to focus on. It gives you something to strive and drive yourself forward. And it's not just striving for the games, it then brings in all the training. So that cycle of I had, maybe gym once or twice a week, I'll be swimming
Yeah,
twice a week. So that drive for that one day or that one weekend of the year would get me out training and exercising and doing all those things, just going towards that goal.
yeah.
Um,
And then there's a lot of pride in, if you get called up for the England team, transplant games or not, it's an incredible achievement. And
yeah,
it must be, like, wow, I'm representing my country. What a great feeling.
oh, it is. It is. I mean, in normal life, I would never have got even close, would never even thought or even imagined I'd do such a thing.
Yeah,
Um, but yes, and it's made even more so because you do to a degree. You have to qualify.
yeah,
So there's a sense of you've achieved something. It's not some countries you can just enter yourself as
yeah, yeah,
yeah. By qualify, I think. Well, I feel that by having to qualify means you've actually achieved something. You've had to achieve a goal,
yeah,
a certain standard to earn the right
yeah, yeah,
to put on a GB vest.
Yeah, I think that's great. I do. I think
Yeah,
obviously it helps here because we've got a lot more people that have had transplants, and so there's more people that want to do it. Because
yeah,
the lady I was speaking to from Colombia just said that there's not as many transplant recipients, so their pick is shorter than ours.
yeah. I saw them. They're some very good cyclists, I think, if I remember rightly,
Yeah,
and runners, like
yeah.
distance runners.
Yeah, like I say, she's a triathlete and she's training for Ironman and all sorts. It's incredible, like the peak physical fitness that people can achieve after transplant is, like you say, it's up there with just top athletes for some people,
Yeah,
which is
yeah. It's
incredible.
almost as though they just hit a blip in the road.
Yeah,
And the fact that we achieve those things on the drugs that we're on, because there's not one of them you could even jokingly say is performance enhancing. They all have negative side effects of one degree or another.
yeah.
Um,
What medication are you on now? Are you on much? Anti-rejection tablets,
I'm
obviously.
on two still. I went almost immediately into rejection post surgery.
Yeah,
As soon as I was on the ward, they were picking up minor that within a few days ended up at moderate cellular rejection. Um, I had a few liver biopsies down through my neck, which is the one thing I was absolutely awful at coping with. I
yeah,
feel guilty to this day about how I conducted myself and reacted to it. Um, and within a week, they treated it. The initial anti-rejection regime I was on changed. I think I might have been on cyclosporin to start with and something else. They then changed it to mycophenolate, one of them to mycophenolate, and that didn't work. So they then changed to cyclosporin, and I'm on tacrolimus now.
yeah,
And the prednisone. So I now understand as well that going into hospital with mental issues, picking up a few more as a result of the transplant, and then being given high doses of prednisone was a recipe for being a bit different,
very.
bit emotional, bit stressed,
Yeah,
a bit erratic.
um, yeah, prednisone sort of quite renowned for that.
I didn't realise that until afterwards, and maybe that's why they were so understanding of how I was reacting, because knowing the full picture and the fact that I've been given IV prednisone, I was on tablets as well, then maybe it was just a case of we know it's the medication. Or so
Yeah,
I've subsequently heard of other people that are still on it and they find that it affects their moods quite a lot.
yeah, yeah. I hear that still. I mean, I was off it quite soon after my operation, a few months, and I was quite lucky. It didn't really affect my mood. It affected my sleeping more than anything, and I was having sleep paralysis and nightmares and things like that. But in terms of my mood, I was quite lucky, and it didn't really change me.
Well, I'm still on both the tacrolimus and the mycophenolate,
Yeah,
but I'm down to 4 milligrams of the tac and 500 of the mycophenolate. But I've since learned as well that the mycophenolate helps counter the effects of the tacrolimus on the kidneys.
okay, so that's good.
So I'm quite happy to stay on too.
Yeah,
I went
yeah,
in my last actual in-hospital outpatients to talk about that, and when they explained the positive sides of it, I said, that's fine, I'll stay on it.
yeah. If it's an extra tablet a day or two extra tablets or whatever, it's not such a hardship, is it?
No, not when you've been taking a handful of them twice a day.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Oh, that regime of getting used to your tablets.
Yeah, I know. The first time I missed a dose, I did get in a bit of a panic.
Yeah, yeah. I think everyone can relate
Once
to
I've
that.
done it a few times since, so I've just got
Yeah.
to work and come back home, and I've got up in the morning and looked at the pillbox and thought, what's that? Oh, God.
Oh god, yeah. I mean, I have them in my car. I'm kind of used to it because I've been on tablets pretty much, for most of my life.
Yeah,
So I'm prepared to forget. So I make sure I have them in bags. I have them in my car. So if I drive to work and I haven't taken them, I'll take them when I get to work, or you
yeah.
know. But
Well,
9 times out of 10, this now I'm so like a machine. I wake up in the morning and they're on my bedside table, and it's the first thing I do.
oh, I leave mine down by the kettle, so it's with the coffee firstly.
Yeah, yeah,
But I've just been told that I'm now working 2 days a week down in Christchurch. So driving down there for the first time Thursday just been. He suddenly had a panic attack. I remember picking up my pillbox as I left the kitchen, but did I put it in my bag?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's now 2 boxes sitting in the glove box of the car.
Yeah, that's what my car's like. In the little hand bit there, there's some sat there.
Yeah.
I used to have them like my best friend. I used to make sure he had some with him. You know, like I used to have stashes everywhere, so I was always all right.
Yeah, my dad had a stash up in his cupboard.
Yeah.
A weekend's worth, because sometimes we'd go down there for the weekend. There was a day's worth sitting in my desk at work.
Yeah.
Another day's worth sitting in the car, just in case we had to go somewhere and I forgot.
Yeah. I think if anyone is listening, and it's important to say that if you do miss your meds, is not to panic, and just to kind of carry on as normal and just take them on the next dose. Yeah. Yeah, and don't double dose or anything like that.
Oh, I've done that accidentally.
Yeah. I think, obviously accidentally you're all right, but if you continuously do it, it could be a bit dangerous.
Oh, you know about it. You suddenly get introduced, because it basically, what it did was, I came in from work once, I took my tablets at 5:30 or whatever, like I normally do, because I'm up early. And then for some reason, about 2 hours later, I walked into the kitchen to make myself a drink and just took another, not even from the right day, just took the next day's evening dose.
Just automatically sort of, on autopilot.
Yeah, and I gave myself what was effectively the dose I had when I came out of hospital, and got a very brutal reminder the following day of just how knackered I was when I was on that dose.
Yeah.
I was absolutely shot.
Not doing that again. Remember not to do that.
Yeah, you'll know about it if you do it the next day. And I phoned them up. I was in a bit of a worry about it, and they just said, just carry on as normal, but just drink plenty of water, obviously through your kidneys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was very fatigued.
Yeah.
I slept well that night.
It's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot to deal with, all these things.
Yeah.
When you come out of your transplant, it's not just the taking medication. There's all the foods you've got to avoid. There's just so much to it that it can get on top of people.
Yeah, simple things like actually my donor's mother offered me, gave me a tub of marmalade, and I went, oh, marmalade. I went, oh,
can't have that.
Is it made of Seville oranges? Yeah.
Yeah.
I will admit I did dip my finger in and had a little bit. I'm gonna have to find marmalade that's made from ordinary oranges.
Yeah. I'm not a huge marmalade fan, so I don't miss that too much.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Nick. It's been a very interesting chat, and I would hope to see you at one of the Transplant Games. I think I'm gonna have to come along, even if I don't compete, just to meet everyone, say hello.
It's just, I just recommend people that are post-transplant, if you have any worries about, longevity or how it's going to be, just come up and watch these people running around the track, throwing stuff. And it's just amazing. Just bring it, because when you see the little ones running their 25-meter dash, it's hard to cry. Yeah, I might have to come up and make like a little video for my YouTube and interview some people or something, maybe. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Nick. I'll let you get on with your Sunday. Thank you. And I'll say goodbye now. Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye. Bye-bye.